Hello everyone, and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Lafayette for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and we're going to be watching the last semifinals match today between elmikkino, who is on Colorless Chop Shop, versus CanterburyEgg, who is on Mardu Villainy Superfriends. So this is interesting because elmikkino is essentially playing a refined version of the deck that Egg won the last GP with. But also both these players have played before in this same GP, which Egg took in a close 2-1. I think it really comes down to Chop Shop can be a really annoying deck to try and play against on an interactive axis because of how much it can just burp its hand onto the board with acceleration like Kelly's Workshop. However, if you can get through that initial phase, like Egg has a decent amount of interaction, like Memento Mori and Pithbolt in hand are pretty good. Villainy itself technically counts as interaction, so, and then if not, Egg can play an Intrepid and then start playing proactively here. I do think I remember like one of the things that we were talking about is that lots of players run out Villainy on turn 3 and how that's sometimes a mistake because you want to usually be able to get instant value out of it. I have to check elmikkino's deck list, but I think in this case, running out Villainy on turn 3 is actually abjectly fine because you're worried about it getting priced out by tax effects. And also, if I remember right, elmikkino doesn't actually have, other than Gilded Gear Hulk, any permanent non-creature permanent destruction. So the Villainy should be safe to let you untap and then do some shenanigans. So interesting, elmikkino could have played, could have done a number of things actually. Could have played a Ghastly Fairy, could have played a Lodestone Golem and started to like price Egg out of the game. I'm not quite sure why elmikkino would play the Ghastly Fairy instead. So Egg is going to play a Dark Bargain, use the Villainy trigger to kill the spirit that Ghastly Fairy created, which means, yeah, now it's just uncrewable, so that's a problem. I mean, I say uncrewable, but you can play a Lodestone Golem or something next turn and then crew it, but I don't think that's where you want to be. So Egg draws 2, loses 2, 1 from Dark Bargain, 1 from Villainy's first clause. Hits another land, and Lucian notable because when he comes down, it's basically one of the more powerful cards in the format, if I'm being honest. It's card advantage, plus a win con, plus stabilization, plus removal. It's kind of everything you want in a walker. Of course, I don't think, I was going to say, I don't think Egg wants to play a land here, because you don't want to actually turn on Perilous Passage, because you do technically have Barren Desolation to be able to fetch a red source if you need it, but elmikkino can just cut you off white in that case. Or like, I guess, you get Perilous Passage, the Gloomcover Step dies, then you Barren Desolation, find a white source, but I think the reason I'm saying all of this is because I think I would have either played a land and then tapped out for Intrepid, which I guess Egg is keeping up Memento Mori such Pithbolt, fine. Or I would have like just not played the last land and then played it next turn for Lucian so that I can be guaranteed to run it out without having to worry about like mana-based shenanigans. But I guess the thought is having a fetch plus Intrepid means that Egg isn't as scared of trading off with the Perilous Passage. But yeah, now elmikkino is going to run out the Lodestone Golem. Is going to go to crew the Ghastly Fairy. Egg can now pay 3 to Memento Mori the Lodestone Golem, which is I think what you want to do. You also have, you can't double spell to kill the Lodestone Golem with Villainy triggers, so no, okay. He's just going to let elmikkino, and he's going to kill, okay, he's going to Memento Mori here. I think this is actually a bad play, like, because I think if you're elmikkino, you easily just sacrifice the Fairy. You really want to keep around that Lodestone Golem. And I think if you're Egg, you don't want elmikkino to keep around the Lodestone Golem. Maybe Egg did this because Ghastly Fairy, no, Ghastly Fairy can still just be shot and killed by Pithbolt whenever you want, so I don't understand that play by Egg. Yeah, so far I feel like, I mean, obviously, like, I think there's lots of minute decisions in Control that depend on, like, how you plan to build up and play into the late game in exchange for stuff that occurs in the moment, so I might be missing the big picture plan, but I feel like some of Egg's decisions here leave me questioning what he's thinking. Okay, draws into a Mupumo. Or Lucian here, or you could play the Barren Boneyard, tap, and then pay 4 Mupumo, -2, exile Lodestone Golem. Actually, you don't even need to -2, you just point the Villainy trigger at Lodestone Golem, +1 Mupumo and the Lodestone Golem, it dies. and then you're just in a solid position. So I think that's what I would do. Play the Baron Boneyard tapped because you're going to have to do it sometime, and then Mupumo kill Lodestone Golem. Egg is actually just going to play the Baron Boneyard and then pass. I'm... Like, was Egg... I guess Egg was afraid of Tinkerer's Tools on the Lodestone Golem, so is waiting for Mikino to be tapped out? That could be it. But, yeah, I'm a little confused. I guess is just where I land on this. Okay, elmikkino is going to swing in 4-5 with the Lodestone Golem. Is Egg going to Memento Mori here, or just eat it all in hopes of recouping it later with Villainy? Nope, yeah, is going to Memento Mori. Lodestone is going to eat the big one. Villainy pokes face. In response, is elmikkino going to Tinkerer's Tools? It actually wouldn't make sense, because Memento Mori is actually good here, because even if elmikkino Tinkerer's Tools, Memento Mori isn't targeted, so you'll have to sack something regardless. Looks like elmikkino is going to Tinkerer's Tools a Lodestone Golem, though. Do they not realize that? Or maybe they're just, before it dies, since they have 2 Tinkerer's Tools, just getting something they can use for value. So they can get a CMC 4 or a lower artifact. Not sure what you'd want here. I guess could find a non-creature one, so it could find like a Zadina Bazaar or something. Okay, Glistening Chalice. So that way the Memento Mori technically did its duty, but Mikino was able to convert it into other value. And with Glistening Chalice, we'll be able to keep up the stream of taxes on Egg's mana. And then is going to Perilous Passage to blow up the Gloomcover step. So unfortunately for Mikino, Egg does have these 2 fetches with which he can, and the Intrepid with which he can get a white source. The Baron Boneyard is also not beholden to Glistening Chalice tax, so Egg can essentially play Baron Desolation, have Pitwilt available, and still be able to swing in with Baron Boneyard each turn. Okay, he's instead going to go for the Murky Pete. Interesting. The reason I say interesting is because any white source that Egg plays off of this has to enter tap, so he's not actually going to get a white source. He's going to tap 5. Oh, he's going to put down the Lucian. Lucian can exile artifacts with the -3, so might want to just come down and exile the Glistening Chalice. Yeah, okay. So Lucian's just going to swallow up the Glistening Chalice, gaining Egg some more life, but elmikkino just top decks another. But I think the problem is, like, Glistening Chalice once your opponent has a good board presence, its value starts going down. And elmikkino's only other threat is the Junk Trawler, which is fine because you can pump it up to protect it from Villainy stuff, but is still a little bit tenuous. So is going to run out the Glistening Chalice again. I think that this is probably, my intuition is that this is a mistake, just because I think that you emphatically want to be able to, I was going to cheapen stuff, so probably just going to free cast Wilted Lotus, and then Junk Trawler off the Kelethros, in which case that makes a lot more sense. Because I was going to say, like, Chalice on your opponent is just not good anymore, or not as good as it really could be. So, oh no, it's going to Zadina Bazaar instead. Yeah, I feel like you wanted to play the Servant of Armageddon here so you could threaten to kill Lucian, and you have the Power Cell to tap to bump up the Junk Trawler if you wanted to. Oh no, sorry, the Power Cell comes in tap, but you'd still have Tinkerer's Tools to be able to tap to save it from a single Villainy trigger. Because otherwise this Lucian is just going to kind of run away with the game, because Egg is flush with cards at this point, so it can just keep using the second +1 to start beating face. It doesn't have to worry about like super spooky blockers here, because Tinkerer's Tools does not have mana to activate here. Okay, Egg is going to play Baron Desolation, probably find a white source here. And yeah, now at this point Egg is just flush with options. Has Intrepid, Mupumo, and Baron Boneyard available. Okay, so he's going to Pitwilt. Why? Probably to kill Tinkerer's Tools or Chalice. Oh, the Bazaar for the card advantage. Tinkerer's Tools provides the tutoring still, and the Chalice provides annoying taxation, but I guess the recurring Zadina Bazaar values, it's just going to, in response, Mikino's just going to sack it to itself. And there's an Intrepid. That is very useful here. You probably find like a Blundering Clock Tower off of this, and then yeah, Egg's going to +1 Lucian swing in for 3. If Egg plays Intrepid this turn, we'll be 1 short of killing elmikkino next turn. Because my thought was, so you swing for 3, swing for 4, and then you come down and can Mupumo for 1. But yeah, that'll be 8 damage, so Mikino is still on a 2-turn clock. and has the Intrepid to be able to block Egg's Intrepid if need be. Oh, and a natural Brindleaf Bay. Okay, so cracks the Wilted Lotus, probably just to really, or really just for like the extra card draw before doing anything. And then is going to cheapen everything with Glistening Chalice. So pays the 2 that were created off the Wilted Lotus for an Intrepid. So then elmikkino is going to grab up a Monument of Queens with this Intrepid. Just trying to like get more threats, and Monument of Queens is notable because has that lifelink. And then going to tap Kelly's Workshop for 3 mana to be able to cast a Junk Trawler. So can just crew the Brindleaf Bay with Junk Trawler. Yeah. And then swing in to kill the Lucian. And Egg can chump with the Intrepid, but I think Egg is just going to let Lucian die because has the second Lucian available. And wants Boat as backup to block the other Boat. But yeah, suddenly, a situation that was looking solidly in Egg's favor is starting to look a little bit dicey with the addition of 2 threats to the board plus Monument of Queens in hand. So how is Egg going to handle this? So he's going to sack a Dark Bargain. Yeah, so can deal with the Junk Trawler, but cannot deal with Intrepid is the issue. And top deck's not Intrepid. I guess the way you deal with Intrepid is you block it, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because as long as Intrepid exists, that means elmikkino can crew Brindleaf Bay, which means that Egg can't rely on trading Intrepid for Intrepid. Does top deck the Pithwilt, though? So I think you just go, let's see. You just go Lucian, use the Villainy trigger on, or no, how many artifacts? No, yeah, you probably go Lucian, Villainy trigger face, -3 on Junk Trawler, then Pithwilt the Intrepid, and then you're good. And you don't want to wait on the Pithwilt because you don't want to give elmikkino access to Tinkerer's Tools. So yeah, Pithwilt on the Intrepid. I also guess could have, because by playing the Pithwilt first, could have Villainy triggered Junk Trawler twice and then a +1 Lucian to draw another card. That is actually a reasonable play. So then he's going to swing in with Intrepid and then tap out for a Lucian. Yup, here comes Lucian. elmikkino down to 1 life. And then he's just going to -3 Lucian on the Junk Trawler. Notably, Egg actually could have just killed elmikkino there by playing Mupumo, Vibrant Rapture. No, actually, would have been 1 short. Or would, No, yeah, you play Mupumo, Vibrant Rapture, that's 5 damage. You swing in with Intrepid, that's exactly lethal. So yeah, I could have done that. Though actually, I guess the reason for you couldn't swing in with Intrepid because of the because elmikkino could have chumped. So had to play the Pithwilt, and then once you play the Pithwilt, you can no longer Mupumo, so you can't get that extra damage. So that's why. So elmikkino cracks the Wilted Lotus, finds out Tinkerer's Tools. I think probably the best option is Servant of Armageddon plus hold up a Tinkerer's Tools to sack it at instant speed. So yeah, it's going to Glistening Chalice to be able to free cast the Tinkerer's Tools and then only have to tap Kelly's Workshop for the Servant. Yep, Servant comes down. Oh, it's just going to go for Tinkerer's Tools on what? On the Servant of Armageddon for X = 3. Facsimile of Divinity, kill Lucian? That's actually not a bad play. So yep, here comes a Facsimile of Divinity. Gonna just boop and kill the Lucian. And puts elmikkino back to his stable 5. The Facsimile can also cleanly block Intrepid. I do think, so I think next turn though, Egg just untaps Mupumo, or like plays another Villainy, Mupumo, and that just eminently kills elmikkino. Doesn't even need to bother with combat. So we're actually just quickly resolving a rules dispute, because what happened, or not dispute, but rules issue. What happened was Facsimile of Divinity actually dies because the Servant of Armageddon trigger is still on the stack after the Tinkerer's Tools resolves. So Facsimile of Divinity comes in, it gets its ETB, and the Servant of Armageddon trigger resolves, and that would kill the Facsimile of Divinity. Of course, I don't think it matters in the end, because Egg, even without the with or without the Facsimile of Divinity on the board, has this game in the bag. But it's just going to be taking a little bit longer to resolve that judge call before we can move on to game 2. And yeah, the judge call ended up being resolved, and elmikkino just kind of conceded there because there was, like, they saw that Egg was just going to end up killing them anyways. So we're moving on to game 2. Before that, let's quickly look at sideboards if we get the chance. So let's see what Egg has inside. All Enduring Mafua, Seal the Tomb, Shikai's Readout, Stolen Secrets, Prying Inquiry. Maybe Stolen Secrets just because it's like elmikkino's deck is Oops All Artifacts, so you can get a lot of mileage off of this. Other than that, I'm not certain that Egg needs anything out of the side. Has plenty of cheap removal plus good win cons in the main. I think I'm struggling to think whether you really want the Stolen Secrets or if you're just fine with the main. I would personally just be fine with the main, but I think it comes down to personal preference. Meanwhile, for elmikkino's deck, let's see. Chemical Grenade is for creature decks, so not here. Soulgate maybe versus No Rest, but I think it's a little bit tenuous. You want something a little bit more proactive. Sorcerer's Spyglass, I think for sure should come in, just to turn off the Planeswalkers. Egg might bring in Mafua, in that case, just to play around this, so you have like a greater diversity of win cons. Because Sorcerer's Spyglass also can name Intrepid, which can be annoying. So I think this is like a free bring-in. Other than that, Hub of Innovation allows for more grinding. Gilded Gearhulk probably coming in just to be able to kill Villainy or Planeswalker. Volatile Stonework, maybe? It kills Planeswalkers, but I'm kind of suspect of it in this list. So I think ultimately my feeling is Gilded Gearhulk, Sorcerer's Spyglass should definitely come in. And past that, I'm not sure what elmikkino will board. I think anything more might be overboarding, but I could be wrong. So we've moved into Game 2. Egg opened up with a turn 1 Dark Bargain, while elmikkino went Kelly's Workshop into a Tinkerer's Tools, and then is now playing Precursor Sanctum turn 2, hitting a Lodestone Golem. Still a bit of a slow hand for elmikkino, has a bunch of good lands, but not much else. Is going to have to like hard run out the Intrepid, and that will get them another land, and will not be able to turn on, I guess, can get a Brynfleet Bay and will be able to turn on Kelly's Workshop that way, and also increase their clock by a turn. So I think that's probably what they'll do. But oh no, Egg, it looks like brought in the Prying Inquiry. I'm surprised, but like especially this over the Stolen Secrets. But yeah, this is just going to grab the Intrepid, and suddenly elmikkino is in for a world of hurt. Okay, elmikkino top decks a Ghastly Fairy, but it's going to Encroaching Seasons to kill the Snow Basic instead. I feel like that's kind of, I feel like you want to be proactive at this point and try to be laying stuff down. So I would have put down the Ghastly Fairy and forced Egg to have some interaction for it. Egg though is just going to play Gloomcover Step and pass. Going to keep up the Memento Mori, and then next turn can, or like yeah, Memento Mori plus the Clue, and then next turn can Intrepid. So elmikkino does play the Ghastly Fairy now. Egg cracks the Clue on end. And looks like also brought in the Stolen Secrets, interestingly enough. I'm surprised by this because I feel like you definitely want, my thought is like you want board interaction because it can kind of just vomit its hand onto the board easily, and then you're just kind of sitting there like, well, shit. But the thought might be to preclude that by being able to grab chalices early. Though I think that if you're on the draw like Egg is here, I'm still surprised by bringing in the hand attack. So Egg's Stolen Secrets is just going to straight miss and then passes. Oh yeah, and Egg, it looks like Egg Memento Mori'd the Spirit. But it won't matter because elmikkino top decks another Ghastly Fairy. So can crew the first one and swing in for 4 right here. Well, okay, it looks like instead elmikkino actually just Precursor Sanctum in the Lodestone Golem, which I'd completely forgotten about, and then crewed the Ghastly Fairy with that. Which, like, yeah, obviously much better since it puts more power on the board. Intrepid is going to find a creature land for Egg, and then is just going to pass there. Because it's an artifact, it doesn't get hit by the Lodestone tax. This game that was looking like elmikkino basically is just gone, is kind of swung back into elmikkino's favor with some nice top decks here. I think if you're elmikkino, you can just, reasonably trade off the Lodestone with Intrepid. So I think you play the Ghastly Fairy. You play Ghastly Fairy number 2, play Wilted Lotus, or could also just play Ghastly Fairy. Could Rezion Racecourse, you still need to crew the other Ghastly Fairy. So yeah, you just play Wilted Lotus, Ghastly Fairy, use the Spirit that the second Ghastly Fairy creates to crew the first one, and then swing for 9. And then Egg at that point is pretty much forced to trade Intrepid with Lodestone Golem, and you're still up on board. And it looks like, yep, he's going to play out the second Ghastly Fairy. Now the question is, swings with only the Ghastly Fairy or swings with the Lodestone Golem as well? I think you swing at the Lodestone Golem because it can't play defense against the Intrepid, and you have the upper hand in terms of board presence and clock. Interesting. So it looks like elmikkino instead decided to use Rezion Racecourse to give the other Ghastly Fairy haste, and then crew both of them to swing for 8, just to, I guess that way, does 1 less damage, but then circumvents the potential of Intrepid blocking the Lodestone Golem. And this Lodestone Golem is putting in work here because Egg can't play 2 removal spells. Only has the Pitwilt or the Memento Mori. So I think probably just has to Pitwilt the Ghastly Fairy and kind of just accept. But then if you do that, you still take 9. So yeah, Egg is just going to concede. We're going to game 3. That was such a turnaround. And I think that also showed why, like, both the ups and downs of of hand attack in this matchup. Okay, going into game 3, Egg has a kind of interesting opener here. Shardstone Rift into probably turn 2 Crumbling Precipice, and would need to fetch a white source to have Pitwilt online. So probably going to have to get a Pain Land. So that's going to be wild in terms of life loss. Does have, as soon as he hits 3 lands, Intrepid and Villainy, and Pitwilt should be good for like early interaction, but this is looking a little bit questionable. It's going to be able to run out the Dark Bargain here, though. So, God, gets a 3rd Pitwilt. The universe really is saying, man, you need to fetch a white source. Right now, though, elmikkino is probably going to go Warded Tome into another Tinkerer's Tools. This is kind of an awful situation for elmikkino as well, because they don't have the mana to play a Lodestone Golem, of which they have 3. They can, if they Warded Tome cantrip into a land, they'll be able to play 1 next turn off of the Wilted Lotus, but future ones will be unavailable. Still, going Lodestone Golem to Lodestone Golem into Lodestone Golem probably just locks players out of the game, especially when Egg is kind of all interact, or like all 3 drops plus 2 mana interaction, which doesn't actually hit Lodestone Golem, and also which Egg doesn't have the mana for. So Egg actually Egg can either Villainy here, Intrepid, or Stolen Secrets. I would Intrepid for a white source, personally. Oh no, it's just going to Villainy. I guess I thought as you go Villainy, next turn you play another Villainy, then you play Stolen Secrets, and you just try to burn elmikkino out. And no way! No way! What is this hand? Bro? Oh man, I can't wait for Egg to run its Stolen Secrets next turn and see this madness. Oh no, and it's a Tinkerer's Tools. Where's the 3rd land? Come on, deck. Oh lord. You know, MTG give it, but sometimes MTG be take a thing hard. Lord. So he's gonna Wilted Lotus. And cracks that into an Intrepid. That is actually castable here. And then with that Intrepid, it will be able to find a 3rd land. That's actually really good. So we'll find a Kelly's Workshop off of that. And with the Kelly's Workshop, okay, yeah, it's going to run out the Tinkerer's Tools. But because of Kelly's Workshop, can start running out these Lodestone Golems next turn. So this went from, oh my god, elmikkino, I am so sorry for you, to, oh, disgusting, evil, monstrous. Of course, can't crew the Intrepid right now, so it's kind of just sitting there as a land tutor. So in that respect, it's kind of sad. I think it all comes down to once elmikkino has a 4th land, can like Lodestone Golem plus hold up Tinkerer's Tools and do a lot of other disgusting stuff. This turn, Egg is going to run out the Intrepid, has gone without a 4th land for too long, needs to find a white source, and then next turn, Gloomcover Step, and then next turn this will allow, actually can play the Stolen Secrets this turn. So Egg is going to have a fun time looking at this absolutely absurd hand of elmikkino's. What card do you want, Egg? Which one? Oh my god. Take your pick. They are so varied in number, cost, and nature. Egg makes... You know what? I think that this is a tactical mistake by Egg. Shouldn't have picked Lodestone Golem, but should have picked Lodestone Golem. I think the Lodestone Golem or Lodestone Golem were kind of an edge case, but could have been acceptable. But I think I really don't get why Egg took Lodestone Golem. Like that's the worst one, and I think while it's defensible to take Lodestone Golem or Lodestone Golem, taking Lodestone Golem would have been the best choice. Anyways, back into the actual game. I think Perilous Passage is actually the worst line you could get here because it still leaves Intrepid offline. I think you just play a Lodestone Golem off of the Workshop plus Clock Tower and then keep up Tinkerer's Tools if you need it. The problem here is just, can Egg start villainying elmikkino out of the game faster? Oh, and is going to Perilous Passage and instead of holding up Tinker's Tools, is going to Perilous Passage kill the Lavatorn fields. Why not kill the Gloomcover step is my question. Yeah, I don't get the decision behind that. Could have killed the Gloomcover step and that would have put Egg off white. I don't get it. The Gloomcover step, like, that literally would have essentially made it so that 3 of Egg's cards in hand right now would have been unplayable. Which also, to be fair, actually everything non-Intrepid in Egg's hand is unplayable, and Egg could actually play Intrepid, sack the other Intrepid to Legend Rule, and then find a land, which I think is probably the best play. No, okay, he's going to Pit Wilt and kill the other Intrepid. Okay, that's also defensible, I suppose. But, like, you can't, like, this leaves you with, like, no good options starting next turn. And, like, if you played the Intrepid this turn, you would have been able to crew it and block either a Lodestone Golem or the opposing Intrepid the next turn just to buy yourself a turn. So, gonna swing in for 4 with the Lodestone. And, yep, here comes another. I guess with saving Intrepid for this turn where everything is priced up by 2, that actually starts to make a lot of sense. Okay, plays the Barren Desolation, is going to pay 2 for it. But, like, what for? I'm trying to think about what Egg could get here that would actually help. Okay, he's going to get a Swamp. That turns off the Crumbling Precipice's Pain. But, yeah, what do you cast? You get, you cast Intrepid? No, he's going to pay 4 for a Villain. Oh, he's going to pay 4 for, yeah, can't pay 4 for Villainy. So he's going to pay 4 for Prying Inquiry, just to get the last Lodestone Golem out of hand, presumably. And yeah, Facsimile be scary. How much mana does elmikkino? Elmikkino has 5, so yeah, he's going to take the Lodestone Golem. Facsimile is kind of, if elmikkino gets 2 more mana, it's kind of just like unfortunate. Egg has to just hold that. And kind of a tense moment in this game 3. This is kind of a moment of truth in a lot of ways. This is elmikkino's first GP, so the further they advance, just the better. Like, how good does it feel to say that you got not just a top 8, but a top 4, or potentially even just winning the whole first GP that you come to. Meanwhile, Egg has a title to defend here. He has won the past 2 GPs, so if he loses here, he will lose a chance at the hat trick. Additionally, this is kind of also a moment of truth for Chop Shop as an archetype. It won the last GP, but winning here would really put it on the map as an archetype in general, not just because Egg is a good player. Egg has won a lot of GPs and gotten top 8s with the decks. It's not just... it would prove that it wasn't just a fluke or a random meta call, and that the archetype actually is putting in work. And of course, Villainy has been kind of the format's darling for a while, so if a Villainy deck gets to advance, then I think it'll be showing that despite the new changes in the meta and everything, the oldies can still kick it with the new ones. Though I don't know if that's going to happen. This is looking like Egg is just priced out of everything. And facing down 2 Lodestone Golems, I don't even know if Egg has an out here. I'm trying to think. Like, can Intrepid to block one of the Lodestone Golems so isn't completely dead. But can't Pitwelt either of the Lodestone Golems because, CMC 4. Can play a land, Villainy elmikkino's face, and then, or has the clue from the Prying Inquiry and could crack that to try and hit something. But what could you reasonably hit here that you actually want to play, I think, is the question. I think the Villainy allows you to recoup life at a decent rate. Egg might also be worried about the Tinkerer's Tools and just want to shoot the Tinkerer's Tools, because if elmikkino gets to untap and Tinkerer's Tools for, like, a lot, or actually, it'll only be Tinkerer's Tools for X equals 3 at max. And I guess if elmikkino gets to that point, could just Facsimile with Divinity. So yeah, never mind. But yeah, it's looking dicey for Egg. Egg ultimately is going to Pitbull the Tinkerer's Tools, Shock Face with the Villainy, still has Intrepid up to trade off with a Lodestone Golem to buy himself a turn. Oh, and I completely forgot about the Blundering Clock Tower. elmikkino cruise that up and just is going to swing for eminently lethal. And wow, and with that, yeah, there goes Egg's chance at a three-time GP win, unfortunately. But this is also kind of bittersweet because it's like he's passing the torch off onto elmikkino, who is carrying on the Chop Shop's legacy. And with that, our top four is locked in. We have Plipster on Dredge, elmikkino on Colorless Chop Shop, Dodger on Wanderfall, and finally Blues Eclipse on Featherfall Auras. So until next time, where we'll be seeing the semifinals match and see who gets into the finals of Grand Prix Lafayette, the second largest GP that MSEM has ever had. Until then, this is Caillou signing off.